Tonight, the First Minister offers reassurance to the Muslim community following riots in England. Police say there's no intelligence to suggest any similar tensions here.
I've been here 28, 29 years, and I've never felt as scared as I am now.
Also making the headlines, a tense time for pupils as thousands prepare to receive their exam results tomorrow. Torrential rain sparks landslide fears, closing the Rest and Be Thankful Road in Argyll yet again. And in sport, Rangers' recent signing Robin Propper and Dujon Sterling are in the squad for the club's Champions League qualifier against Dynamo Kiev. I'm John Mackay. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. Police Scotland say they are prepared if violence and disorder like we've seen in several English cities happens here, but there's currently no intelligence to suggest any similar tensions. This afternoon, the First Minister visited Edinburgh Central Mosque to meet members of the Muslim community to offer them reassurance after several places of worship were targeted in the riots. Here's our senior reporter, Gordon Cree.
Night after night, cities across England and Northern Ireland have witnessed scenes of unrest. The riots, in many cases, directly targeting asylum seekers and refugees. In others, there were attacks on Muslims and their mosques. Wafa came to Glasgow from Iraq in the 1990s. Is this a scary time to be a Muslim?
It's very scary. So I promised myself that I will not watch news. But then I saw myself looking at through Twitter and social media, and all night you see these images. But can I say, at the same time, the things you see on social media, there are people actually who are standing up for people who are being targeted by these attacks, which is encouraging, but it is scary. So I've been here 28, 29 years. And I've never felt as scared as I am now.
No one should feel unsafe because of the colour of their skin, their race, their religion, or their background. And for far too many people across the country, they are living in fear right now because of this far-right thuggery and this violence.
This commentator, herself a Muslim, believes politicians must take responsibility for the current tensions.
Whether it's Nigel Farage and his encouraging of conspiracy theories, whether it is the former Conservative government standing in front of a lectern that said "Stop the boats," which has now become a racist slogan shouted at a hotel of vulnerable asylum seekers whilst it was set alight. There is a legitimisation that has happened over years in our politics. We must stand against that.
At Edinburgh Central Mosque, a visit from the First Minister to underline community cohesion. It comes after a stabbing in Stirling this weekend, which on social media was wrongly linked to Muslims.
It is clear that social media and actors in social media are playing a role in trying to incite the type of violence that we've seen in other parts of the United Kingdom over the weekend. And that's why I think Police Scotland were absolutely right to intervene on Saturday to quell the information that was being put out about the incident in Stirling, which was completely bogus information.
This afternoon, a 29-year-old man, Callum Fisher from Stirling, appeared in court charged with attempted murder. He made no plea and was remanded in custody. This festival month, people from all over the world have come to Edinburgh to celebrate culture. It's happening just a few hours up the road from those scenes of disorder and violence. Tonight, many here are concerned about the threat of that disorder travelling north. Gordon Cree, STV News, Edinburgh.
Thousands of students are gearing up to receive their exam results tomorrow. Staff at a helpline are preparing to take calls from 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, when pupils who have signed up for texts and emails start to learn how they've done. Here's our political correspondent, Ewan Petrie.
Alexia, so nice to meet you.
When Louise called this results helpline last year, it was Maxine who supported her to find a photography course at college.
lovely to put a face to the voice.
Today the pair met for the first time.
I honestly don't know where I'd be if I did not have that call. I could be maybe unhappy, still be at school, because at that time I didn't know if I was going to go back or not. And it's definitely made such a big difference.
It was lovely to see that she got the information and able to make that informed decision and progress on to do something that she's very passionate about and has a future and sees herself as a future of doing something really that she wants to be and feel happy about her career aspirations.
Hello, SDS Results Helpline.
Almost 145,000 students will receive their results tomorrow by text, email or post.
Whether your results are better than you'd expected and you want to look at alternative options, maybe your results haven't gone the way that you had hoped and places at college or university have fallen through, unfortunately, we can offer support to discuss whatever option is right for you next.
Around 50 staff will be on hand here to offer that advice on a day of mixed emotions and memories.
I learned I'd failed my maths higher, which I thought, to be honest, was the end of the world, because I had a place at college to study electronic engineering and I didn't pass the resit either. But I went on to have a career in journalism for 30 years. So, I'm maybe a bit of the evidence of, it isn't all about the exam results.
The message here is don't panic. Whatever the results, help is at hand. Ewan Petrie, STV News.
Well, with the new school year fast approaching, a leading charity is warning some parents are being forced to cut back on essentials like food to afford new uniforms. It comes as uniform banks say they're overwhelmed with demand from working families who aren't entitled to financial support. Selena Jackson reports.
It's that time of year again. Parents are starting to think about kitting out kids who've outgrown their uniforms over the summer.
We've got high demand for every single piece of school clothing, bags, shoes, pencils, pencil cases. It's a lot more than last year.
But more families are now turning to uniform banks to help tackle the costs. Items here are available for free or can be swapped for clothes which are no longer needed.
I'm seeing a lot more people that are working full time that are maybe not getting the support that they need. They can't afford to spend it. It's maybe £100 alone on the clothes, never mind the shoes. Nobody's got that extra money. It's now a luxury item. And these next 2 weeks are going to be the busiest time we're going to see, and we're desperate for donations. Everything that's out just now is what we have left.
Martina, who works as a teacher, says the cost of her son's uniform is becoming unmanageable.
I struggle. The price of living, the rent, electricity, the cost of living, it's been absurd. If I can save £5 here and £5 there, I'll be able probably to bring a different type of meat, a different fish. For me, it's important to have that. So if I can save here, to give that for my children.
Families on low incomes or who receive certain benefits are eligible for a school clothing grant of between £120 and £150 per child. But there are calls for it to be extended to support more parents like Martina.
We often hear about families cutting corners on other essentials like food and bills to be able to afford the costs of uniform. So more money in family pockets is really important, and at CPAG we would urge the eligibility to be expanded on the school clothing grant.
The Scottish Government says it's going to introduce new guidance on uniforms, but it's for local councils and schools to decide on their policies. Selena Jackson, STV News.
To other stories, and Mary McCallan, MSP, the Cabinet Secretary for Net Zero and Energy, has announced she's given birth to a baby boy. Sorley John McCallan Rennick was born on Friday. The Clydesdale MSP, who is currently on maternity leave, says she and her husband Ian are completely in love. The North East MSP, Liam Kerr, is the fourth candidate to enter the Scottish Conservative Leadership Contest. The party's education spokesman claims he could lead them into government. He joins a deputy leader, Megan Gallagher, the former Olympian Brian Whittle and frontrunner Russell Finlay. The West of Scotland MSP, Jamie Green, could announce his plans to stand tomorrow. The discount voucher website 5pm Limited has gone into administration. 27 jobs have been lost at the Glasgow-based website due to the company experiencing cash flow difficulties. An administrator has been appointed to take over. One of Donald Trump's closest advisors says he would be the best US president ever for Scotland. Eric Trump is the third child of the former president and describes himself as his father's biggest ally and supporter. He was in Scotland over the weekend looking at work to build a second golf course in Aberdeenshire. He spoke to our political editor Colin Mackay on the 18th green.
Eric Trump is one of his father's biggest supporters. At the weekend, he flew into the Many estate to check work on a new 18-hole golf course.
My father would be the greatest president, as it pertains to the relationship with Scotland that Scotland's ever had in the US.
Just a few weeks ago, though, he feared his father had been assassinated. He was at home watching the speech live on TV.
My kid's in my lap and I see blood pouring out of my father's ear. I wasn't,
Did you think the worst?
Yeah, of course you do. I mean, where else does the mind go? Of course you think the worst.
What do you think would have happened if it had been the worst outcome, if he had been killed by that assassination attempt?
Well, America would have looked like Banana Republic if that would have happened. And God knows what else could have happened. Civil wars have been fought in countries for less than the assassination of political figures, especially political figures that are as beloved as he is. And I think he's one of the greatest men in history, and I think he'll be revered as one of the greatest American presidents in the history of our country. And what they've put him through is unthinkable, including trying to kill him last week. So, no,
hang on, you say including trying to kill him. Are you saying there's some conspiracy there?
How a lone gunman could get on a roof 130 yards away from the President of the United States is unthinkable. It's either gross negligence, massive incompetence, or conspiracy. It's one of the three of those.
Donald Trump courts controversy. Just last week, he questioned the ethnicity of Vice President Kamala Harris, his opponent in the November election. He's just questioned himself whether Kamala Harris is black. Did you know she was black?
No, I don't know a whole lot about Kamala Harris. I know she has an Indian mother.
You must know an awful lot about Kamala Harris. She's now standing against your father for the presidency.
Yeah, I know she has an Indian mother.
And a black father.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know anything about her father. I've seen.
You say possibly. You don't know that she's got a black. You didn't know that she was black.
I've seen her with her mother. I've never seen her with her father. Irrespective, here's what I'll tell you. These are all cheap sound bites. Kamala Harris has been the most ineffective vice president in the history of our country. She couldn't get 1% of the vote of the Democratic Party when she ran on her own in 2020.
To be fair, calling her the worst vice president sounds like more of a cheap soundbite than your father questioning her ethnicity and her railing back against that.
She's supposed to have stopped the problem at the southern border, and she didn't. She let in 12 million people into the United States in the last 3 years.
But that's nothing about what I'm asking you. I'm asking you about essentially whether your father is racist.
My father is far from racist.
It's all pretty nasty though, isn't it?
Yeah, politics is nasty. And you know what? It's nasty in America and it's nasty here as well. The things that people have said about my father in this country, some terrible stuff.
Quite often kids get a bit embarrassed by their father. Do you ever get embarrassed by him?
I'm very proud of my father.
But do you ever get embarrassed by him?
I don't get embarrassed by my father.
Not when he talks about Kamala Harris's race, or even when you have to appear in court and testify for him?
No, I'm honored to appear in court to testify because I know the sham.
Even in those circumstances?
Yeah, because I know the sham witch hunts he's been under for the last 8 years, and the entire world and all of America knows the sham witch hunts he's been under for the last 8 years. I'm not embarrassed at all. In fact, I'm my father's biggest ally. I'm my father's biggest advocate, and I think he's one of the greatest men in history.
Whether he's re-elected or not, Donald Trump is certainly one of the most influential and divisive political figures of our time. Colin Mackay, STV News.
And one final piece of football news. Motherwell attacker Sam Nicholson has been ruled out for several months after sustaining a knee injury. That, folks, is all your sport tonight. See you again tomorrow.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Summer Sale.
Well, the weekend was a washout. What about the week ahead? Here's Sean.
A dry start to the day will become increasingly splashy. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Very good evening to you. Rather mixed picture out there today. Some very humid conditions around the northeast of the country, 25 degrees Celsius, but we've also had some very heavy rain, particularly around North Ayrshire, Dumfries and Galway. We've had about 2 weeks worth of rainfall since yesterday. Now, looking out into the Atlantic, this is not a great picture for you. You can see what looks like a worm coming out of Canada and the US. That is the jet stream. Some quite bright colours in that jet stream, especially through the weekend into next week, which means the jet stream is picking up in speed. And that's never a good thing, because that means low pressure systems directed straight towards us, which does mean for the remainder of the school holidays, I'm pretty much writing it off. Now, I don't mean relentless rain, I just mean the weather picture remaining very mixed. There will be spells of wet and windy weather at times, and through this week, temperatures generally around average to slightly below. Now, at least as we head through tonight, a lot of dry weather with clear spells developing from the west. Dry start to tomorrow, some sunny spells around, but then we'll see frequent showers developing into the afternoon. Some of those showers will be on the heavy side, also turning breezier around the west coast and across the Hebrides. Top temperatures tomorrow, we've lost the mid-20s, which we've had in some spots today, to about 16 to 18 degrees. Still feeling pretty decent in the sunny spells. But yes, we need to watch out for those frequent showers in the afternoon. Blustery day to come on Wednesday. Frequent showers, a wee bit drier and brighter for a time on Thursday, but then a very showery weather picture once again on Friday. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
And finally, the former Prime Minister Liz Truss was met by boos, cheers and a lettuce as she appeared at the Edinburgh Fringe today. Ms Truss, who was famously outlasted in power by a lettuce, refused to take any responsibility for the 2022 mini-budget, which sent the markets into turmoil and put up mortgage prices. Our political reporter Laura Alderman was there.
Hello, how are you? It's me, Liz Truss.
It's August in Edinburgh and it's claimed there's a fraudster in town.
I'm here because there is an imposter in this building right now pretending to be me, and I just think that that's a disgrace. But I think that people are getting confused going in there, because that's not the real Liz Truss. Will the real Liz Truss please stand up? I am. I like standing.
But this Liz Truss, the former Prime Minister, was a guest on a Fringe talk show today, reflecting on her 49 days in office in 2022 and her legacy.
It is painful if people on your own side are saying, you know, this person's immoral, or they've got the wrong ideas, or they're incompetent. That is worse. And that's essentially what it was a summer of.
Liz Truss would have been hoping to promote her new book today, but for some audience members, they took the opportunity to throw the book at her with some testy exchanges, especially when she refused to accept responsibility for the 2022 mini-budget and the economic chaos that followed.
Do you accept or not accept that there was a link between an increase in their mortgages and your decision making?
I do not accept that.
At all?
I do not accept that. And now, have I been successfully smeared by people? Yes, I have.
What did I think of it? I thought she was more eloquent than I expected. I don't agree with much of what she said.
She answered the questions directly. Sometimes she even got a yes or no reply, which was quite unusual.
I can't believe what she thinks about the climate crisis and so many other things. That she likes Donald Trump, Nigel Farage. I'm afraid I haven't changed my view. But all credit to her, she stood up there and put her view forward.
And yourself?
Oh, she's a disgrace. Terrible woman. Shocking, that's it.
I can tell you now that not one thing she said convinced me that she's taken any responsibility.
I thought it was really good. She came across really well.
I've got a lettuce because I've just been to see Liz Truss, and obviously she famously lasted less time than a lettuce.
And that reaction was just the tip of the iceberg, as most of the audience remain sceptical that Liz Truss will turn over a new leaf. Laura Alderman, STV News, Edinburgh.
And that's all from us tonight. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow at the same time. Good night.